Counting down. 3, 2, 1. And welcome back to the Business Hour here on KRDO News Radio, sponsored by Doherty Law Firm and Pikes Peak National Bank. I'm Ted Robertson with a reminder for you about our wonderful friends over at Colorado Springs Business Journal, hugely supportive of the Business Hour program, but especially those of you who are out there working hard in the business community. Staying on top of business news is critical to the success of your business. It's really easy when the news comes to you, and the Business Journal is making that easier than ever for Business Hour listeners. Log on to csbj.com, select subscriber, and enter TBH at checkout. You'll get your yearly subscription to the Business Journal for just $60. That's a value of almost $90. Again, csbj.com, select subscribe, and enter TBH for the Business Hour at checkout, and you'll get the special deal. Joining us in the Business Hour studio now is Anthony Perez with the Hispanic Business Council, and leading this interview, of course, will be the wonderful Aikta Marcoulier.
Thank you, Ted. Anthony, welcome.
Well, thank you.
We're excited to have you here
You're
today.
Excited. I'm excited.
Oh,
this is a great opportunity.
This
Thank
is
you,
an
Ted.
exciting moment for all of us. I'm really pumped about what your part is and what you're doing with the Hispanic Business Council. So if you wouldn't mind, I would love to start off with you introducing yourself, your role with the council, and then give us a little bit of a history on how long the Concilio has been around.
Well, absolutely. I'm Anthony Perez. As you know, Corey kind of alluded to the fact that a couple years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, I relocated here to Colorado Springs from Chicago.
Go Chicago.
And Corey and I crossed paths at the Latino luncheons, and we sat down over a cup of coffee, and I asked for the history lesson. And I asked, well, where's the Hispanic Chamber? Kind of got a story about where it was, what happened, and I asked, well, how did the void get filled? And the answer was, it hasn't. After chatting and talking about how can we fill that void, we had the opportunity to connect with Steve Sanchez and Jean Sanchez. And we came together and rolled up our sleeves, and really it was a good 12 to 18 months of just what did we learn from all our mistakes collectively? What does the community need? Where are we now? Where were we then? How can we make it right? And what is our focus? Our focus was always to make sure that we're advocating and offering resources for small businesses, but being very intentional and deliberate in supporting our Hispanic-owned businesses. Making sure that they know what opportunities are out there. Making sure that they know how to qualify for those opportunities and know where those resources are. Obviously, the SBDC was always a piece of that, is bringing in that information and bringing that information to the community. So we were the co-founders.
Okay.
Somewhere along the line, folks said, well, you started this conversation, why don't you lead the way? And they said, you're president.
That works sometimes.
I think
in this
some
community.
folks pushed back from that response, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, all right, fine. So I'm currently the president. But you said I'm a big we person.
Yes.
Anytime you start a company, an organization from the grassroots, there's huge challenges and growing pains. And Corey could attest to that. Wanting to get traction, we had an idea how to get it going. And it doesn't work until you get the right people. And I got to say, in the last 6 months, we've gotten some great new board members that not only buy into the vision, but have their own sense of ownership of what they can do.
And many of who are small business owners themselves.
Absolutely. So you're only good, the coach or the leader is only good as the players. So we're very fortunate with the board and the players that we have and the direction that we're going.
Great. I know in the community there's a very strong Latino community luncheon that I've been to several times. How is the Concilio different than the luncheons, and are you collaborating and working together?
Oddly enough, a couple of our board members just met with Carmen Abeda, runs the luncheon, and heads up the Cinco de Mayo Incorporated.
That's right.
And for decades has done amazing work in this community. The luncheon really kind of filled the void of when the Hispanic Chamber ceased, and really filled that void of networking opportunities and keeping awareness of the Hispanic community alive in Colorado Springs. So she's done a wonderful job. A lot of times their topics are more on the civic or community education, things of that nature, where we are more on the business side. We actually just chatted with her recently about how can we support more, work with each other, and maybe even kind of go back and forth with luncheons. Maybe we do a couple luncheons where it's more about business, and we'll roll out that luncheon and just kind of help lift the load for her. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work as an event planner, I know. Next question. What is the area of coverage that the council has? Is it just El Paso County? Is it just Colorado Springs? And who can join, and how can someone join the chamber?
All right. So
Lots of questions.
yes.
In one.
Why don't you just throw them all at
I will.
once? Right. So we really want to focus on Colorado Springs. Obviously, we're the largest county, from what I understand, in Colorado. 17% Hispanic population throughout the county, 14.5% in the city. There's a lot of work to do there. So us just being able to build trust in our own Hispanic community, in the city, in the county, that's the first start.
Absolutely.
In addition, I've been making my rounds. I met with Rosie up in Denver. We've got a lot of friends and a lot of partners up
With the
north
Minority
that want to
Business
help
Office.
with us. I've met with Steve Trujillo down in Pueblo. I've met with Rodney and the Women's Chamber. We're really big and focused on complimenting those that are doing good work in the community. We're not exclusive to have to be Hispanic to speak Spanish, otherwise I'd be out. I do not speak Spanish. We're looking to help small businesses. We're looking to help people that want to support our vision. There's a lot of good things going on in our community, but maybe some of those opportunities and decisions aren't being shared with everybody.
So that's a good lead into the next question. There's a lot of minority-owned businesses, Hispanic-owned businesses that could qualify for certain contracting opportunities that we are helping them with through the Minority Business Office program, some other programs we have at the SBDC. What are some of the obstacles you've seen come up for businesses, and how do you expect the council to help those businesses with those obstacles?
When Mayor Southers gave his speech when he became our mayor, he was at the Pioneer Museum, and he looked at the mountains and he said that our community needs to be a reflection of the beautiful landscape that we have to the west of us. For me, in the short time that I've lived here, the only way that happens is that we really embrace, encourage, and increase our awareness of diversity. Many times I go, whether it's media, education, leadership programs, what have you, and people roll out all their programs that they're doing, and they are wonderful. But there's always that question where I ask, well, when are you doing the minority? When are you spotlighting the minority? Why are you, what about, and the response is, oh yeah, good idea.
What I think is amazing is that you've brought that conversation to the table, which is
Right.
very important to us. And there's people actually grabbing onto it now.
There
and
is.
It's of an interest now to many organizations.
It is. So, you could look at it as a little frustrating, but at the same time, people are going, you know what, you're right, how can we get better? So with that being said, but it's two sides of a conversation. You can't set the table for a dinner party and then no one show up. We have to build trust in
Right.
our community with our small businesses. We need to make sure that they understand why do they need these resources? Why do they need to know how to network? What are the tools they need? And know that minority business, SBDC, the Concilio, the Black Chamber, that there's resources there, and that's just the way you do business, to get out of your lane and to grow.
Exactly.
So,
And that is exactly why we wanted you on the radio show today, to show our audience how much work you're doing to create collaboration, to create more of an awareness of the need to support our minority-owned businesses, and that your board and your collaborators are trusted individuals in this community and those who really understand how to run a business. And that is so important when you're supporting others through the council with the services that you're going to be providing. So we have 2 minutes left, but I do want you to have time to plug any upcoming events you may have going on, and how can people find out about those events?
Right. So we have March 23rd. We have a networking event going on at Me Mexico. It's sponsored by Integrity Mortgage. So we're going to be doing a networking and education piece on mortgages. We have one coming up in April with Globe Link Translations featuring the BBB.
Very nice.
Jonathan will be speaking about
Good friends
the
of ours.
BBB.
Mhm.
We have Zeknus, Gene Sanchez will be doing integrated systems, understanding how to get your IT foundation in place at the Antlers. So we looked at what do businesses need, whether it's minority business, resources, healthcare, what do you need as a business? And we reached out, whether internally or externally, said, hey, will you do a workshop to help the community and spotlight businesses to give them resources?
Very good. Well, there's a lot of exciting events coming up. I know we're working with you on a possible big one later on this year that we're pretty excited about. But there are so many levels of education you're going to be bringing to the table, and with the twist for Hispanic-owned businesses, with the resources they provide, with the resources you'll be providing. Thank you again for coming to the radio show today. We'll
Thank
be
you.
sure to be supporting you on pikespeaksbdc.org as well.
Anthony, one final quick question for you. Would you say again where your next networking event is going to be? What's the location?
So it's going to be at Me Mexico on North Academy.
Okay. And the cross street?
Austin Bluffs. It's a 6 to 8. I'll make sure I get the info and the
I
flyer
know the one
over
you're
to
talking
you.
about. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah, the big restaurant there.
Yes. Great food,
Yes.
great folks, great
Yeah.
owners.
Yes.
They're amazing.
Yes.
So
Good stuff. Okay. March 23rd, networking event, Hispanic Business Council, Anthony Perez, yes, and Me Mexico. Great place to go. It's time for a quick break. Up next, messages from our Business Hour sponsors, then the National Cybersecurity Center National Cyber Exchange Weekly Cyber Brief. When we come back, more from the Pikes Peak Small Business Development Center. This is the Business Hour on KRDO News Radio. We'll be right back.